Hello, and welcome to the first ever episode of
The Nerd Word, a bookish podcast about books.
I'm Sada,
And I'm Tanvi.
and we will be your hosts for this podcast.
This episode's topic will be The Secret Life of Bees, a novel by Sue Monk Kidd. Now let's start by laying down the facts.
This book, as you already know, was written by Sue Monk Kidd,
A author from Sylvester, Georgia, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, who's actually became well known because of this book, which was written in 2001.
Alright, so the copy that we read was published by Penguin Books, and it has 366 pages total, but that includes all the extra stuff at the end.
366. It's only 302 with another 15.
That's the story only. Alright,
317.
so this published version has 317 pages total.
But that can vary to around 366 to 340 depending on which publisher or which copy you have.
Again, you might not have the exact copy that we read from. Anyway, this is a work of fiction. It is a novel. We'd say it's a historical coming-of-age novel.
With hints of feminism.
Yes.
Do you want to do the synopsis?
The Secret Life of Bees is a coming-of-age historical novel that captures America in the midst of the Civil Rights era.
1964 to be precise.
Yes. From the perspective of a 14-year-old white girl named Lily.
Owens.
Yes. From the South. When she seeks refuge. How do you pronounce that?
Shit. This is the problem with both of us having English as a second language. I don't actually know.
When she seeks refuge with three...
Refuge? Is it refuge or refuge?
Okay, we're gonna move on. When she seeks that thing with three black women to escape her abusive father, she gets a taste of the experience of being an outcast or a visible minority, as most of the black Americans would have in this time period in America.
By the way, the book is set in South Carolina specifically.
Yes. So her story with the Calendar Sisters, or her stay with the Calendar Sisters, actually gives her a unique perspective on the issue of race and other matters like spirituality, religion, motherhood, and a big thing that I found was forgiveness.
Whoa. We'll talk about this in a second. This is synopsis.
Alright.
Yeah, I think that's good. I don't
want to spoil it any more than
We don't want to spoil it, so before we spoil it, we're going to do a first impression. So those of you who don't want the spoiler and haven't read this book...
I'm definitely going to spoil it then.
Shush! I'm going to go first impression so she knows what she's talking about. And so those of you who haven't read the book yet can listen to our first impressions, decide if you want to read it, go get a copy, read it for yourself, and come back and listen to the rest of it to hear a full summary and all our analysis. So anyway, my first impression of the book was... I wasn't looking too forward to reading it. I do love historical novels. I will always love historical novels. But honestly, it said The Secret Life of Bees, and I started thinking of another book I knew of, which is called The Murmur of Bees, which we'll probably do an episode on later. And I was like, is this going to be about, magical bees or something? Or is this going to be like the Bee Movie, but better, because it's a book? And I was confused. And then when I started reading it, it was a bit slow to start off with, but then I quickly fell in love. Because I was like, oh my god, this is great. I love these characters. I don't want to spoil it, so we're going to keep going. Sada, your turn.
Okay, I was really excited to read it, unlike Dunby, because I've always loved historical novels and books, and you could tell from even the synopsis that it deals with a lot of serious issues like race, family issues, just what it would have been like to be a teenager at the time, and just all the riots and the craziness of the 60s in America. So I was really excited about it, especially because I had come out of grade 11 having taken an American history course. So just having learned about the entire civil rights era, again, because I was already very interested in it as a kid, it was really exciting for me to read a book about it.
Can you tell that she's the one who recommended it to me? Because she has so many more thoughts on this episode, on this book.
When I finished the book...
Wow, my grammar sucks today.
I was an emotional mess.
No.
Oh,
you talk about this later.
No, okay.
No.
What?
Breathe.
Am I not allowed to talk anymore?
This is your first impression.
Yeah, so my first impression was I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I was kind of an emotional mess.
That's your final impression.
What?
Yeah,
First impressions is like as soon as you're done reading the book.
First impression is while you're reading the book.
Okay, fine. According to your definition of what a first impression is, I guess I'm done.
Thank you. Now, our spoiler warning. From this point on, we will be talking in depth about the characters, the plot, everything and anything to do with the book, and we will spoil it
Yes.
completely.
So if you haven't read the book, leave.
If you don't care, then continue listening. And if you have read the book, join our awesome club of people who have read this book and help us tell other people to read this book because it's quite a good book.
Yes, force your friends to read it, just like I did.
Yeah, she did. She quite honestly
I pretty much
shoved it into my bag and told me to read it and refused to take it back until I did.
Yes.
So a full summary. Do you want to do a full summary?
Okay. You read it more recently than I did.
Okay, I did
Plus,
read
I'll
it.
probably
So,
freak out and
basically,
just start ranting
it's
and
set in
love it.
South Carolina in 1964. Is that the correct year? Yes, it is. And Lily Owens, who is 14 at the time, is really struggling with her definition of who she is, and her past is coming back and haunting her because you learn very quickly on in the book that her mother has passed away. The problem is Lily was old enough to understand when her mother passed away, but not how. She has hazy memories of her mother being shot with a gun, but has no idea, and so at this point in her life, she blames her father, who she calls T-Ray.
Or actually, she doesn't blame her father. Part of it is that she blames herself. But
that's later in the book.
That's the big question of the book.
Exactly.
Was it really Lily who shot her own mother?
Or was it her father?
And so there's a lot of guilt and confusion that she feels throughout the book.
She is an intelligent young lady who wants to be a writer. Unfortunately, because of gender roles and stereotypes of the time, and especially
her abusive father,
where she lives and her abusive father, she is stuck working in the farm and staying at home when she would rather be at school or reading all day long. Which, honestly, is anything more relatable than that?
Yeah.
I want to read all day. I mean,
right?
Of course, I want to read all day. That would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What else? So eventually, there is a bit of an issue. I mean, this is a summary, but I don't want to, give away all the details of the book either way. But, she has an issue.
Start talking about, Rosaline.
Yeah. So Lily has a nanny, I guess you could say, who's kind of like her stand-in mother, who is this amazing lady named Rosaline who takes no crap from anyone. Are we saying crap on this episode?
Yeah.
I think crap is fine. Anyway, she doesn't take crap from anyone, and Rosaline has always been there to discipline Lily and take care of her when her father goes too far. But Rosaline decides that she is going to stand up to some white supremacists who are having a gathering, you could say, in town, especially since the Civil Rights Bill is about to be signed.
Another example of how history plays a major role in this book.
So Rosaline goes and pours her snuff onto these white supremacist shoes and gets beaten and arrested for it because, of course, it was her fault.
Because she's the colored one.
Ah, great. Anyway, basically, Rosaline is stuck in jail, and Lily hears about this, and her father refuses to take Rosaline out of jail. Lily was with Rosaline in the moment when she was beaten, so they were both actually taken to jail. Lily's father comes and grabs her, but refuses to take Rosaline out, says they have no need of someone so troublesome. So Lily decides to free both herself and Rosaline, springs Rosaline out of jail, and they go on their own little trek to South Carolina, to different parts of South Carolina, because Lily goes on a hunt for her mother.
Yes.
Yep. Because in a few days before they were arrested, Lily found a photo of her mother with a picture of a black Madonna on a jar of honey and an inscription from her mother on the back. So Rosaline is determined to find where this honey comes from and find a little more information about her mother, since her father, T-Ray, refuses to say anything to her. So they continue on this journey. They meet the three sisters of the Black Madonna honey, and it's just amazing, their relationship. Immediately Lily feels more at home. She feels more comfortable, I guess. Yes. She becomes more open.
There's
she's hiding herself. What are their names? August, June, and May.
There's August, who I guess is the eldest sister. She is the one who runs the honey business. So she's the one who looks after it. She looks after the thing. She plays a huge sort of mother figure for Lily in the book. Then there is June,
who hates Lily.
Yes, she hates Lily at first. She's just very cold towards her. She doesn't make her feel welcome in their home at all. She doesn't think that a white girl should be staying with a group of black women because there's nothing she can understand about their own struggles.
Wow.
Ignore that. And then there is April, who had a twin.
Not April. May,
Oh.
whose twin was named April.
Oh, right. So April is the youngest
No,
one.
May.
Oh, shoot. May is the youngest calendar sister, as they're well known.
Because they're all named after
yeah.
months of the year.
Yes. So people in the community call them the calendar sister. But anyway, so May is the youngest sister. She's also the most emotionally challenged, I guess you can say, because of...
As you learn later in the book, May has a lot of trauma from losing her sister, her twin sister, to suicide. And so she's become emotionally stunted, I guess you could say, and has a lot of trouble dealing with emotions. And all because of all the strife, the civil strife, the emotional strife, the violence occurring in America at the time, and May feels the full brunt of it, you could say. And so she's having a lot of trouble in day-to-day life just existing.
Mm-hmm. And she is the least capable of dealing with difficult situations.
Mm-hmm.
And she would immediately lash out. She is very unstable, I guess you can say.
So the three calendar sisters take in Rosaline and Lily, and Lily, of course, begins to kind of lie to them at the beginning. She doesn't want to reveal exactly what they're here for, and Rosaline fits in right away. To Rosaline, this is, as we'll talk about a little later, this is her safe place. She's found a place where she can be safe.
She's found a place where there's people who
Exactly.
are like her and can relate to her and look like her.
And they join
T-Race, like a white farmer who treats her like a slave.
And they join the church that the three calendar sisters host out of their own home, where they worship the Black Mary, right?
Yes. So, this is sort of a made-up religion, but it's inspired by Christian beliefs and by sort of the practices of African Americans in the times of slavery. This fake religion, or sort of made-up, twisted religion, has origins in this period of time in America when slaves were brought to America.
Because at that point in time, they had lost all sense of belonging, sense of home, so they took whatever they could and they used it to find themselves that peace, that tranquility that they needed.
To find their sort of inner...
Exactly. In the same way, the calendar sisters do this with the other women of color in their little town, and they worship this statue of the Black Mary, who is kind of representative of all the struggle and strife that they are going through. They also use it on their jars of honey, as they take her image and print it on the labels of their jar, creating their own individual brand. As the story goes on, you learn more about them. Again, we're not going to go into complete detail, but it is just general series of events. You learn more about them.
She meets Max.
She meets a boy.
She meets a boy.
She meets a boy. Of course.
She has to meet a boy.
I know this.
Anyway,
don't
they meet each other.
Don't go into issues.
They make out at some point. The problem is he's black. She's white. Their relationship isn't really something that would be accepted in their country.
Really touched on, is it though?
It is a little bit. I know he says something about boys like me not being able to date girls like you.
Yep.
And then he goes on and gets arrested.
Well, he was defending his friends.
Yes. He gets arrested. A lawyer helps him out of it.
Yep. Again, this book is really complicated.
There's a lot of little stories, like individual stories in the plot line that sort of connect at the end.
And then it goes to the end, where it quite literally...
No, we forgot about May. So,
yeah, that's where I'm going to.
Yeah.
Right at the end, May commits suicide.
Because she finds it difficult to deal with Max's
arrest. Because Max has been arrested, and Max and May are very close to each other. May is very affectionate. I think because Max is their nephew, correct? And...
Oh, okay.
In some sort of way, I think he's related to them and he's very close to them, and he and May get along very well. So learning about his arrest rightfully terrifies May, because at that point in time, especially in that period in history, a young black man being arrested does not end up well for anybody, especially for the young man that was arrested. You already see earlier in the book that when Rosaline was arrested, she got beaten multiple times in jail, and they're terrified that something even worse would happen to him.
Because even T-Ray was confident that the white men who beat her up would openly return to the jail, beat her up in front of the cops,
and probably kill her.
And probably kill her in front of them and face no charges.
That's the only reason he got Lily out of there so fast.
Which could have been very easy for those men to do without any consequences.
Which again goes back to why the book is so historical and we enjoy how accurate it is.
Or I enjoyed it.
Oh god,
mostly.
I did enjoy it. Well, we'll talk about that later. So yes, and this, because they tried to keep it from May in the beginning, when she eventually does find out that they might not be able to save Max from prison, she has a sort of breakdown and disappears for a while. When they finally go to hunt her down, they find that she drowned herself in a stream with a rock and used it to weigh herself down. And I'm going to quickly go over this, otherwise Sada is going to rant for 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But basically they hold her funeral. Lily comes clean about everything. August reveals how she knows and knew Lily's mother. T-Ray comes back, tries to bring Lily back, and tells her that she was actually the one to kill her mother. Lily comes to terms with this, I guess you could say, and the story ends with them freeing Max from prison and going to school. She is able to go back to a high school in the area. She decides to stay with the 3 Calendar sisters. They join a high school. Max is the only boy of color in the school. And it kind of just ends off with them trying to live their lives as best as possible.
Yes, like at the very ending of the book you come to realize this. But the entire writing of the book is Lily reflecting on what's happened in the past year. And so the current time would be her just starting school with Max or Mark. Is it Max or Mark? Max.
It better be Max, otherwise we've been saying the wrong name the whole time.
Yes. So the current time is her, maybe like September or October, as the school year has just started, reflecting on what's happened in the past year.
Okay, T-Ray. I'm trying to hunt down this name. Oh, it's Zach.
Oh.
We said Max the whole time. His name is Zach.
Just know we were talking about Zach. There is no Max in this book.
She also makes another friend named Becca, but again, that's in the details of the book. Yeah.
I don't think we missed anything. And
Look,
I mean,
we probably did miss something.
We
for those
assume
of you.
you've already read the book, because if you haven't, it would be best to stop watching or listening to this.
Because we just spoiled it.
Yeah, because we spoiled it.
And yes, we understand that was a very mishmash of a summary, and it went all over the place. But hey, that was more for us.
There was
than
a
for
lot
you.
happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot. But now we're going to go into specific details. Again, we're not going to do this in chronological order. That would be pretending that
turn your laptop on again?
That would be pretending that we're organized, and we're never organized. So let's see what happens.
Okay, so
that was laying down the facts. Let's do our analysis now. So,
okay.
Ready, Soda? Quick fire. Favorite character and why? Go.
Favorite character and why? I guess while I was reading it, probably August. Because I saw so many of my role models in her. And even the advice she gave to Lily, it really helped her in her road towards recovery. And helping her with coming to terms with her mother's death, and even coming to terms with herself. And the events that led up to her mother's death, and how it happened and played out.
I like August for a lot of the same reasons you do. She's not my favorite. I'll list mine.
She reminds me of, like, you know, those, like, you know, parental figures who, like, never does anything wrong. That's why I kind of don't like her in a sense, because she's just the
too
book,
perfect.
Yeah, her book portrays her as perfect, like Dumbledore.
Okay,
like who is always right, even though they're not.
Can we not bring up Dumbledore? Otherwise, that'll start a whole other rant on my side.
Yeah, I know, but that's who she reminded me of.
Anyway, I also enjoyed August's character. Not my favorite. I'll list mine in a second. But basically, because she always put Lily.
Who I found?
Can you not?
Sorry.
Oh my god!
I got excited.
Breathe!
Okay.
Because she always put Lily in her place. Like, she never took any of Lily's crap. But that's why my favorite character is Rosaline, because I just admire the lady. Like, she's
straightforward.
She's so blunt, straightforward, has so many more guts than I will ever have. Honestly, Rosaline is just perfect. She just doesn't care. There's this one moment where her and Lily are camping in the woods right outside a field, because they're on the run to the more southern part of South Carolina to find this farm that the bees come from. And Lily's like, being really, like, shy and, like, oh my god, I smell and I want to shower, and Rosaline is just like, nah, screw this, I'm gonna go take a bath in the river, and she just goes for it. And I'm like, I admire this lady, because she just goes with whatever she's given. Like, she's put into the Calendar Sisters' homes, and she just goes with it. She's just there to support Lily. She does it because she cares for Lily, and she rolls with the punches, but she also teaches Lily some awesome lessons about how Lily's like, oh, why did you come with me then? And in the book, in the very beginning, Lily questions why Rosaline even followed her if she was so mad at her. But Rosaline's like, responds with, I had no choice. What else was I gonna do? Go back and get killed? Of course, I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, that's why I like Rosaline, because to me, she seemed the most realistic.
Yeah, very realistic.
I also like June, but not as a person or for her kindness, because she was very mean in the beginning, but just her character development and how she comes to slowly accept Lily for who she is, and the experience of just going through that with her fight with the garden hose, and how it's just a very human moment that helped them connect. Even though it was very silly and petty, it changed a lot about their relationship. And yeah, do you have anything else to say about June? Get off your phone!
No.
Get off your phone! I'm not using my phone to record this, yes, but I'm not, like, scrolling through Instagram or anything.
I'm bored. Okay, I'm enjoying this, but I'm just tired.
I know, I'm tired too.
Okay, least favorite character then. Why am I asking all the questions again?
Sorry, no. I'm not going to say T-Ray.
You didn't even ask the question, you just started talking.
Okay, what was your least favorite character?
Thank you. Gonna have to say Lily. She annoyed me, really. I mean, T-Ray, I can't really qualify him as my least favorite character, even though it would be the most obvious answer.
I think it was necessary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He was meant and written to be bad in a sort of way. But not bad.
Even though he wasn't, like, flat out
cruel.
bad.
Yeah, just cruel. But Lily, she just really annoyed me in the beginning.
Why?
I get it, but that's the thing, is my opinion of her changed. And I understand that was probably the point of the book, is you're supposed to be annoyed with Lily. You're supposed to be like, oh my god, can you not? She sounds so entitled at the beginning, but there's also that hidden part of her that's very lost, confused, and hurt, and has no idea what's happening. But her surface level personality is just so entitled, and I'm just like, oh my god. So she annoyed me at the beginning, but then I quickly got over it. And then my least favorite character, I don't know if I had one. I mean, T-Ray, obviously, because it's T-Ray, but I don't think I really had one. I think that was the point, is that they were supposed to be very diverse, I guess you could say. Not diverse, but complicated. It's not just one set personality you can put on them.
Okay, I had some problems with May.
Ooh.
Just because she seemed not too immature for someone her age, but it's not really specified what type of mental illness she has.
But isn't that...
Or even if it was just depression,
isn't that indicative of the times, though? Is that nobody ever diagnosed her, so she had a lot of trouble?
But it's not really... It was really hard to... I don't know. I just didn't find her character very realistic.
Yeah. But maybe because we've never had to deal with such a situation. Right? I did not like how they dealt with her suicide. I was mad. I was upset.
It seemed like something very sudden.
Not even sudden. And I get that it can be sudden.
Okay, obviously, I have never been through, like, a suicide attempt. But it doesn't seem like something that would...
See, that can lead us into
her committing suicide. Like,
that can seem like a whole different debate.
It's supposed to be, like, the accumulation of, like, different things. But if the author were to even try explaining that, or like going more into detail about that, it would become her story. And that's what I didn't like. It just interrupted too many of the things that Lily was going through.
So wait, let me see if I can figure this out. You're saying that there wasn't enough insight into why May committed suicide?
Yes.
But that's the point, isn't it? Is that there shouldn't have been much explanation, because to everyone outside, on the outside perspective, who is not that person who is suffering so much, they can't tell. Nobody ever can tell. It's really hard. It's rarely ever noticeable, right? Like, that's why it's always such a shock.
But to me, it just seemed like the author didn't know what to do next.
I don't agree with you. I don't think that the suicide was a bad decision. I just don't like the way it was dealt with. I don't like how when the author wrote it in, it was very glorified in a sense. And glorified isn't the exact word I'm looking for, but exactly what happened is that everyone accepted it really easily. Like, they knew it was coming. Like, they knew it was happening. And I'm like, if you knew she was going to commit suicide, why didn't you do anything? And I understand that they couldn't. That, again, it's very indicative of the times, right? That it was 1964. There's not much information about mental health and not much awareness out there about it. But as her sisters, they were simply accepting of the fact that that's what May is like now. We're just going to have to deal with it as best. And they did deal with it, especially as women of color. They had no access to doctors and medication or any way to help her, and so they dealt with it.
The Wailing Wall was a huge symbol in the book.
They dealt with it as best as they could, and I understand. See, this is why it's such a complicated thing to be upset about. It's just, personally, I wish there had been a way for it to not seem as accepted, for them to not be as calm and collected about it, to not be as okay with it, I guess you could say, because they did seem very okay with it at the end. And again, many others who have read this book probably interpret it differently, but that's how I interpreted it. And I understand why, because again, it's the historical perspective and the year it was in, so
my feelings about it are very conflicted. Like, I couldn't tell what the author was thinking when she wrote that part in. Like, was it because
You're too far from the mic, no one will be able to hear you.
Was it put in there because she didn't know what to write about and didn't know how to end the book? Or was it purposeful?
Yeah. So I guess that's characters and plot development, and what we liked and disliked. Wow, we were supposed to split this up into different categories and we just started talking.
What we liked and disliked.
Well, that's what I disliked. And I also disliked the ending. It seemed a bit too quick for me. Like, with T-Ray showing up and being like, "You're coming home with me now, girl."
And then Lily being like, "No!"
And I'm like, that's so unrealistic, please. But I don't know. It felt very realistic right up until that point. Then it got very...
Can I talk about what I liked?
Yes, but let me finish my point.
Okay.
Then it got very... What is it? What do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? Faked. I guess it got faked. Not faked, but dramatized. It got very dramatized at that point. It was very realistic, and then it got dramatized.
Yeah, it seemed to get a little soap opera-ish near the end.
Soap operas?
It was just tragedy after tragedy after tragedy. And then a wedding at the end. Like, as if it wasn't soap opera-ish enough, they had to end it off with a wedding.
And again, it's very symbolic, I understand. It's like just too much for me.
Yes.
It was very, like, consistent in tone until the end, where it's just like, here's a bunch of emotions all at once. Deal with it. And I'm like, wow, I don't know what to feel anymore. Anyway, what did we like? Let's talk about what we liked. Because there's definitely more things I liked than I disliked.
Before I forget and lose my train of thought, two big things I want to talk about. History and religion. Okay, let's start with religion. No, not religion. We're going to start with history. I really like the historical accuracies.
Yep.
Just even, like, it was very specific to which part of America it was in. Exactly.
And it was...
Like, South Carolina, it's in, like, it's one of the southern plantation states of America. And you can really tell with just...
the way it was written.
And
it wasn't just... A lot of historical novels, what will happen is that the history becomes too much... it was way too many statistics in historical novels. And too generalized. But this was very specific to the exact area. And it wasn't like they just hit you with a bunch of statistics or, like, all the information at once.
Or, like, all the names.
But they give it to you...
It made sense even with the way that people acted around her, the way they practiced religion. Even, like, the day-to-day life of T-Ray with Lily. And the tasks they would do on the day-to-day because they worked a farm. Because that's how most people would have made a living in the time in South Carolina, by farming.
And it's the way the historical parts of the book are set up is that you learn at the very early on in the book that the Civil Rights Bill is about to be signed. That it's going through, it's happening, everyone has to deal with it. Right?
And that immediately kicks off the entire plot because Rosaline, who is a colored woman, immediately gets really excited about voting. And then you even see
her going to vote.
Because I remember in history class, like American history class, which I took before I finished this book, that, yes, this bill was passed, and technically colored people were allowed to vote in America, but it was more of a yes but situation where they would constantly be harassed as they were lining up to vote, or any of the officers or government workers would find loopholes or ways to get them out of voting.
And they showed that in the novel.
Yes, because, Rosaline was really excited, but she had to go on a super long walk just to vote, and then when she finally arrived in the town, she was harassed by a bunch of racist white dudes.
And it was accurate in how they portrayed the history in terms of the main character is a 14-year-old girl. She's, no matter what era she's living in, she's not going to randomly go pick up a newspaper and be like, oh, ho, ho, look at the historical events that's happening today. But you hear pieces of it from the conversations happening with the characters around her. So while Lily might not be interested in the politics of the time, the ladies of the church are most definitely interested. So you hear pieces from Lily's point of view of like, okay, so the ladies came by today and they were talking about how they were all excited to register to vote and how they were going to go around doing it and how this happened today. And so it was very natural and realistic. It wasn't forced upon us, the fact that it was a historical novel. It was very much part of the story. It was integrated and blended very well.
Yes, especially because it's not like the author chose to write this from the point of view of a black woman. It could have been very easy to do that because a black woman would have had a first-hand, would have experienced this firsthand. She would have known all about it. She would have known all about the Civil Rights Bill, and she wouldn't have learned it piece by piece. But you see Lily, who is a 14-year-old white girl, who slowly sort of learns about what's going on in the place around her and with the people around her. And it's just really interesting because you get a really unique perspective of this huge time in America. Also, it's because I also there's a bit of a reversal in roles, because generally it would be the people of color feeling like an outcast, right?
I'm listening. I just found out that this is the same author who wrote The Mermaid Chair, and how I'm that dumb, I don't know. Oh my god.
It says right here.
I know, it's right on the cover, but I didn't notice. And I've been wanting to read that book for ages.
Okay, anyway, generally it would be, the colored people feeling like the outcast or feeling
I'm
like
so
the minority.
dumb.
Shut up. But you have Lily, the little white girl, in a house full of black women. And so she, for the first time in her life, feels like she is the outcast, and she gets sort of feel at what it's like, and she comes to see how much these black women accept her in their own home, and she applies that to her own life and the way she can treat the people around her herself.
Yep.
Say something, and then I'm going to talk about religion.
I talked about all I wanted to talk about for history. We really need to clean this up. We're such a mess
what else
today.
did you like?
You're gonna have to start talking about religion, because that's it. Okay, no, you know what? Let me tie in the little feminist aspects that I liked. I just loved the idea of the imagery of these three powerful, independent black women who are living in this giant pink mansion with their bee farm and just holding their own, land and just having a honey distribution and production sort of company and just selling their honey, and how they're well known in their town.
Doing their thing.
And they're just I just love that imagery. I laughed so hard when we first heard Lily's description of just walking into this driveway and seeing the giant pink house and being like, who the heck would live there? I loved it so much.
My favorite sort of feminist imagery was at the very end when they're almost chasing T-Ray out of the pink house.
Really?
And because T-Ray, you know how he comes back and he tells Lily to come home and he beats her a little bit and then he backs off and lets her stay with them.
Yeah.
And then at the front porch, because you have Lily standing in the driveway.
The combination of all the women who come from the church.
And then you have the women of the church.
Who
I imagine
come out.
Standing there, staring him down with
just
their hands on their hips. And then you have the two remaining calendar sisters. And then you have Rosaline, obviously.
Just you want to come here again?
So, what is that? 10... elderly black women standing there
It's a better version of that culmination of all the female Avengers in Endgame.
That's what it reminds me of.
It's basically the original and better version of that, where it's instead of them all going and supporting Peter Parker, it's them all it's all the ladies of the church and all the women in the area coming together to protect Lily, and I love it so much more than that. I have issues with that scene.
It's a huge motherhood
This is not a movie
too.
podcast. Oh.
It was very,
Anyway,
That would have been an awesome moment to, like, show in a movie, though. Oh, this book has been
It
adapted
has a
into
movie, but we didn't like it.
I didn't go through the entire thing.
I
I don't know how they did that specific scene, but I hope they did a good job.
Honestly, someone needs to tell us, because I only got through half of the movie before I had to put it down. So I'm like, bored. I can't stand this. Neither of us can really stand movies, can we?
When they're based off of books, no. Like, if I've read the book and then I watch the movie adaptation, I just can't take it. Because I'm one of those people who gets too caught up in the details, so I just prefer to stay away.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Half the reason I put it down is because if they had ruined that scene, I don't think I would have been able to live with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what happened in my childhood. Oh, Percy Jackson, no! We don't even talk about that. I need to stop, otherwise the fandom's gonna come after me and be like, why'd you bring it up? But anyways.
Oh, religion, right.
Yeah, what we liked. See, a lot more likes than dislikes. We have some problems.
I know everyone's very, very different religiously, and people might have had problems with the way Sue Monk Kidd dealt with religion in this book, but I honestly didn't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
I know I found out later that she grew up religious, like very religious, and she was Christian. But it didn't seem like she was forcing it into the book. Yeah. She sort of went with the flow, and she did a good job of using it as a way to symbolize different things. It fit with
our own...
And it wasn't straight up Christianity, so it didn't seem like... Christianity, sorry. It didn't seem like she was forcing it into people's throats, because it wasn't straight up Christianity. It was a mix. It was a mix of that. There's
a whole other bunches of descriptions of them, like different forms of Christianity that we just don't know or understand enough to analyze this.
She used her own understanding of Christianity that she grew up with and combined it with Black American history.
Again, we could be completely wrong.
And she even addressed it through the characters. I think it was probably August, who even came to terms with the fact that Black Mary wasn't even real, but as long as it was real in their hearts, it could help them on the road to salvation or forgiveness or, recovery.
I'm going to interrupt you there for a second, because, again, we could be completely wrong about her.
So it wasn't like, no.
Oh my god!
Sorry.
I literally said I'm going to interrupt you for a second.
Sorry!
Jeez! Hold your thought in your head and write it down. This is why you have a journal. Oh my god.
There wasn't enough space for me to write it down. Okay.
Anyway, we could be completely wrong about our interpretation of Christianity, because neither of us are Christian, and we don't understand the different forms and groups that take place. But in terms of her impression of religion, I like it a lot, because it fits a lot with what my opinion on it is and what Sada's opinion on it is, which is that it's dependent on the people that follow it, that it should be very individual, I guess you could say. And that's exactly what these ladies do. They take their religion and they make it into something for them, something that they can relate to, and they don't really care if other people agree with them or not, because they realize and understand that for them, religion is what they want it to be, what they need it to be, so that's what they're going to do with it. And I really enjoyed that.
Yeah,
it was nice seeing religion portrayed positively.
Or used positively. It wasn't used to control Lily or to force her to become more like them.
Exactly. It was very much a choice.
Even in their little church gatherings, of course Lily would be there because she was staying with them.
And she was welcome to stay, but they didn't make her do anything.
They didn't make her do anything, and it was Lily herself who was drawn to the Virgin Mary, and who herself decided to participate in all of the functions and rituals and ceremonies, and she found that it helped her. But it wasn't like, no, this is real, this is the one true religion, you have to follow it.
Exactly.
So I think even though Sue Monk Kidd was, I guess, conventionally religious, or maybe that's how she was raised, I really do appreciate that she did a good job of showing what religion should be used for.
Yeah.
Nobody talked about bees here.
Oh my god, have we actually not talked about the bees?
We haven't talked about the bees.
There was obviously some symbolism behind the bees, but do I remember what I was going to say? Pause for a moment to think.
I don't know, flip through the book.
Or
here.
So again, lots of things we liked, lots of things we liked, more than the things we disliked. And yeah, noteworthy experiences, Sada, for the book. Just to, add in a moment of calm before you go on another rant about bees.
I don't know, I'm flipping through the book.
You had it written right here, look.
No, again, I didn't have enough space.
Oh yeah, your favorite quote that you wrote down here is, "There is nothing perfect," August said. "There is only life." I do like that quote a lot. It's quite nice. Noteworthy experiences. This book is actually the one that inspired us to start this podcast, because we're
Where
absolute
did I
nerds.
write that?
Right there.
Oh.
All right, fine. Talk about your bees.
Oh no, I just like the symbolism.
I just
am
like
a
bees.
really huge
Honestly,
fan of just.
Am I the only one in the
symbols
world
in
who
books.
genuinely has nothing against bees and
I love
actually
bees.
likes bees? Like, if
They're
you let me
just
hold
so
a bee,
organized. If you learn how
and
a
here's
bee
the nerd
colony
part.
works, they're just so damn organized, and each and every single bee has a very specific role. You have the queen bee, whose job it is to nurture everyone and to mate with the male bees, which I find this very funny. After she mates with them, she just straight up kills them. Anyway, so she does that. It's her job to reproduce and produce all the worker bees, who are the ones that, you know, as you've learned probably in elementary school, to collect all the pollen from the flowers and to convert it to nectar and then make it into honey and all those little combs. And then there's like the maid bees. I don't know if this is like the correct terminology, but it's their job to nurture the queen bee and make sure that she has enough space to produce her eggs and reproduce, and she's comfortable enough. They also have what is royal jelly used for?
And this is why it's called the nerd word, because every once in a while you'll have Sada or I go on about some random nerdy
But
fact.
I love bees. They're
I
so
do also
organized.
like bees, but I'm not going to spend 10 minutes talking about bees.
They're so organized.
But yes, there is an actual bee crisis. So, like, go figure out what's wrong with the bees in your local area and do something about it. Like, even if you plant a flower, don't let the bees die. It's very important. I know everyone's freaking out about the turtles right now. Also a very important topic. But don't forget to freak out about the bees. Sadly, if you edit this out, I will smack you. People need to know about the bees.
Aren't bees responsible for a third of the American diet?
Yes! If you don't know that, they are responsible for a third of the American diet. Because, hello, how do you get all
They
your
have
food?
to pollinate all of the vegetables and flowers and stuff.
Yep.
Do you have anything to say about the bees?
No, honestly,
I just really enjoyed all the symbolism with the queen bees and like the mother bees. And you can see all of those analogies play out with the characters.
Yeah,
in the book.
also, my favorite fact about bees is that they communicate with each other through dancing. If only my friends let me communicate to them through dancing.
No, they send chemical messages in their brains, so
Yeah,
they
but
don't
they
actually
also-
talk.
They also, like, dance, and they communicate by dancing. I mean, it's
Oh
obviously
no!
not
They
dancing.
only communicate by dancing when they're out and about,
Yeah.
collecting pollen from
It's
flowers.
great. It's
But
actually
when they're in
adorable.
their hive and there's all that buzzing and stuff, they actually send chemical messages
Mm-hmm.
through their brain, which I still like fail to understand or even wrap my head
And
around.
exactly, that's
So
why
that's
anytime
their
someone
main
tells you
way.
that the bee makes a buzz sound, it's not because they're talking. They communicate through dancing outside. In their hive, they send chemical messages. There's a complicated reason behind that. Go ask a scientist. But the buzz sound is actually from their wings. It's not them, it's their wings, because they move so fast. It's so cool. Anyway, bee facts.
And just the
Because
way they work together in perfect harmony. And then
This is not a bee podcast.
if
This
you-
is about bees.
Sorry.
The book is about bees.
The Secret Life of Bees, the book, not the actual.
But
bees.
this is why we called it the nerd word.
But anyway,
because
we
talk
just
about
love
bees.
bees,
Bees are important.
which probably like increased our love for this book.
Yeah.
So
Biased. We're biased. Yeah, am I the only one? Like, I remember I was walking with my friends a couple of days ago, and everybody else was like, they saw a giant bee, and they're like, oh my god, let's keep walking. I just stayed there and tried to hold the bee. I've never been stung by a bee, so for all we know, I'm allergic to bees.
Okay, she's
but...
a weird one. If a bee came near me, I would still be terrified.
No, but they're
But
so adorable.
Yeah. Oh, like the bumblebees? Oh, those are cute.
Yeah. Anyway, and I don't even know. I've never been stung by a bee, so for all we know, I could be allergic to bees, and I could have died that moment, but I didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Do you want to do our ratings now?
Sure. Quality of writing. Go. What did you write in your book?
Ooh.
Open it up.
Okay.
See what you did, and then maybe you could change your rating after we
Quality
finish
of writing, I
discussing
gave it an 8. Because of just how fast it was at the end with the soap opera-ness, I was just like, quality of writing, I feel like there could have been a little more description, but it was really good, so I gave it an 8. Pace. What about you for quality of writing?
I put a 7, close to you. I did really enjoy it. It was kind of sophisticated for a
Yeah.
14-year-old, but again, that was the point. She was a writer, and I really appreciated, because a lot of teen novels, when they're written from the point of view of an actual teenager, I feel like the author, who is usually an adult, tries too hard to make it sound like a teenager.
Oh my god, yeah.
And they need to realize that, sure, when you hear teenagers talking with each other, they don't sound as mature as they are.
But our inner monologues are not slang.
Yeah, it's not slang. It's a lot more mature and
But then
sophisticated
again-
and reflective than most people would think. And so I am really glad that the author acknowledged, or at least understood that.
But then again, we might be the wrong type of people to talk about what teenage inner monologues are,
Because, again, we're like 14, no, we're not 14, we're two, like, 17 and 18-year-old grandmas. But
yeah, we're nerds.
There
was a moment.
I have read about this somewhere, that
Yeah.
teenagers purposely act less mature than they actually are when they're around their friends or they're around big groups of people. But they're a lot more
The reasoning
likely,
behind that is because it's a multiple reason
again, the whole
answer.
social thing.
Yeah,
wanting
it changes
to be
between
like everyone
teenager.
else.
But honestly, we are the worst type of people to talk about slang because we had to literally take slang lessons from our friend to understand what he was trying to say. And he sat us down and he's like, "No, this is what this means, and this is what this means."
No, but
and
even
this is
like
what this means."
not like slang or
yelling.
anything.
Stop
But
yelling.
oh, sorry, I'm not yelling. I'm not talking about the slang, but even like the unnecessary sarcasm where they would put it in really inappropriate places. Have you ever noticed that in teen novels?
Oh yeah,
Which is why I stopped reading teen novels, because it just really annoyed me, that style of writing.
And then I forced her to read a teen novel for this podcast, and now she hates me inside. Anyway, plot development. What did you think about the plot development? Again,
pace.
Oh, right, I skipped one. I gave the pace a 9. It was
Oh, me
really
too.
good right until the end, and I was like, it very good pace.
I gave it a
flowed
9 too.
so well with, like, one event to the other. I was like, that was
It
great.
wasn't too fast,
Yep.
it wasn't too slow.
Plot development now.
I gave it a 6.
I gave it a 7!
Okay.
Oh, right, the scale is out of 10, in case we didn't say that before.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
1 to 10.
Characters? I gave them a 10. I loved all the characters.
I gave them a 9. I did have a lot of issues with some of them, but I still really enjoyed
Enjoyability? Gave it a 9.
I gave it... Okay.
Oh, wait,
how do
no.
you define enjoyability?
See, yeah,
Because,
in
I
this
mean,
book,
it was a very...
I gave it a 6, actually, not a 9.
I gave it a 6 because it deals
Hey,
with a lot
same.
of... It deals with a lot of
Dark
serious
concepts, yeah.
issues. There isn't a lot of humor.
Mm-hmm. For this, in terms of enjoyability for this book, as I was reading it, the way I was classifying enjoyability, because if you go back to my
like
first...
how happy it makes
Exactly.
you, basically.
Because if you go back to my first impression, I honestly thought this was about magical bees or a story from the perspective of bees. So I thought we would be like, buzz, buzz, I'm a bee, this is my story. Because obviously I hadn't done my research before I started reading it. So the first way I was describing enjoyability for this book was in terms of, like, how funny was it? How happy was I? What was I feeling, right? How positive was it? So enjoyability for me was a 6 because it's something I would read again, but it's not something I will be looking forward to reading again. I will enjoy my read no matter how many times I read it, but it's not something I'm going to be like, oh my god, I'm so excited, let's go read this book again. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't the happiest
it's one
of
those,
novels.
Like, you know how sometimes the songs you enjoy the most are the really emotional and sad ones, even though it, like, makes you tear up? It's like one of those books. It's like, you know you're not going to be outright happy when you read it, but it's going to put you through this whole journey.
Yep.
That you'll really appreciate at the end of the book.
Insightfulness. That's where I gave it a 9.
I don't know why I gave it an 8 over here, but I would give it like an 8, 9.
I gave it a 9, yep. Ease of reading? 10. It wasn't hard to read.
I gave it an 8. It wasn't
I see
like,
that. It did get slow at points. Maybe I should lower it, but I'm going to stick to the 10.
For me, I define ease of reading also, like, I tied it in with pace.
Yeah.
And it was slow in the beginning, and then it was too fast at the end, and it was hard to, like, wrap your head around some of the stuff that happened, because it was like, wait, what? This is happening too fast.
Okay, so overall rating, what did you give it out of... So, for some reason, our scale rating is on a scale of 1 bee to 10 bees. Because, you know, we gotta stick with the theme of bees.
Oh, no, overall rating...
Oh my god, let me finish!
Stars!
Yeah, I know, I'm explaining that. So the scale is on a scale of 1 bee to 10 bees, which we totally didn't stick with because we suck at this, apparently. Those were all those qualities we just went over. But then our overall rating is out of 5. So how many bees out of 5, Sada?
Okay, when I have a lot of feelings. So,
here we go.
after I...
Just skip forward a few minutes.
No, don't.
Do it.
No.
Do it.
Skip over everything she says. You know what?
Excuse me.
I'm just gonna edit everything you say out
Wow.
of this.
Okay,
Screw
fine.
you.
Screw you. Anyway, 1 B out of 5.
let me
how
finish
many
my
B's
point.
out of 5?
Screw you.
How many B's out of 5?
Okay, when I first finished reading the book, I was all like, 5 stars, loved it.
5 B's.
5 B's, loved it.
Jeez, stick with the thing. My work's so
Now
hard.
that we've it's been a year since I've read it, so I've had time to think about it. I would put it at like 3.5.
Yeah, you can tell how much we procrastinated on this podcast that she literally read it a year ago.
We have school. Okay?
It did take me a while to read it. It did take me a while to read it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would put it at 3.5 or 4
when
at
did-
this point.
Yeah, I finished.
There were a lot of really, really good parts, but there were a lot of problems or unrealistic characters.
I gave it a 4. No, actually, I think I gave it a 3. Yeah, I gave it a 3.
I put 4 in this book.
I gave it a 3B out of 5 B's. So in general,
I
let's
would
give it
put
a 3 point.
because I understand that it's not perfect.
Yep.
And that it's not the most realistic in terms of like the way the characters
I
acted.
honestly think the only reason I gave it a 3 is because my first impression was I honestly thought it was going to be about a bunch of magical bees.
She was just disappointed.
Yeah.
And she took things too literally.
I didn't know what it was about. I didn't research it all. Usually I go like, okay, what's the synopsis?
Just read the synopsis.
I trusted you and I literally just started reading. So I was just like, magical bees!
I wouldn't stop talking about it. I kept telling you what it was about. How can you still go magical bees?
I don't know. Okay. Anyway, so I gave it a 3B out of 5 Bs, which means together our rating kind of goes to like 3.75.
Yes.
Yeah? So overall rating of 3.75 Bs out of 5 Bs. What was a 7.5 B look like? Would it just not have wings?
It's just missing its stinger.
But then it
one
would
of
be
those
dead.
male bees.
Yeah, but bees without their stingers would be dead.
Yeah.
So would it just not have a wing?
This is a dead bee.
Oh god, okay. No, let's not say that because it was a good book. It was
very
It was okay, so overall impressions and recommendations. Yeah, we recommend this to everyone, but you need to be a little mature reading this book because it does talk about some darker topics. If you are iffy about suicide and child abuse and violence, maybe you should steer clear and have someone who knows you read it.
No, but
and
I
then
do
go
think
over it.
it provides a really good opportunity to learn.
Yeah, it does. It does. When you read this book, you do actually want to go in later, and if you're not like us and already aren't a nerd and know all about the civil rights movement and whatnot, you will want to go and research, so please do, if you read this and you enjoy it. Recommend it to your friends who are really into history.
Shove it into their backpacks.
Lie to your friends like Sutha did to me, tell them it's about magical bees.
I
and then
didn't
tell
lie to her! She just wasn't listening to me!
them. Do that. Any favorite quotes? I mean, we talked about your favorite quote. No, this book is not one for quotes, I guess. There's a lot of, like, beautiful passages, but not something you can outright quote that I want to read out. So yeah, go through it. I recommend this to everybody. I think a lot of people will like this. Young girls, like young teenagers, definitely go check it out. It's wholesome.
It's for
nice.
everybody.
It's kind of sad and traumatic, but it's really good. So yeah, I guess that's all we gotta say. Sutha, get up. Let's do our closing. She's like lying down now. She's given up. So.
Thanks, bye.
No.
Okay.
Thank you for listening to our first ever podcast episode of The Nerd Word.
A bookish podcast about books.
This was our first episode about The Secret Life of Bees, a novel by Sue Monk Kidd. We hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.